I did trust her as a mom. It's not about that, about the babysitter.
I can't.
Where you going?
Take this anymore.
Since you got to America, you've basically been relying on my dad.
Why is that any of your business?
So dudes, welcome back to the #1 YouTube channel in the entire world. Today we're talking about Andrei and Elizabeth on 9 Day Fiancé because there's a lot of drama going on with them. They went to Chuck's family reunion. That's right, the podcast family reunion is held in Maryland. Elizabeth's family is having a reunion in Maryland, and they thought it would be a good idea to all load up the RV and go as a family to the reunion, even though everyone hates Andrei.
Why?
What can I say? Andrei's doing a great job of leeching off of Chuck's good graces and single-handedly destroying this family from within. Everyone that follows me on Instagram knows that I'm actually really good friends with all of Elizabeth's sisters, just not Elizabeth because she has a big ego.
I'm sorry that people are so jealous of me, but I can't help it that I'm popular.
If you guys haven't seen my last video covering Andrei and Elizabeth and the entire fam bam, definitely go watch after this video because it totally slaps. We are all very familiar with the reoccurring theme that Andrei is a lazy bum and Elizabeth is a complacent daughter that likes to steal money from her daddy. We've seen evidence of this by how Andrei and Elizabeth have single-handedly milked Chuck out of millions of dollars in the past seasons, but it's never been this intense. The way that Chuck and the family members support themselves, they're gonna actually hire the dumbest that is the dumbest person in Moldova that actually had to flee the country because he was that unintelligent. Where we picked off with Andrei and Elizabeth, he was causing a lot of problems for Chuck and the entire family because he has started to work for Chuck. He already thinks him and Chuck are partners, and Charlie and all the other kids are working for Andrei now, are working beside him as an equal, even though Andrei just got his real estate license from cheating off of Elizabeth's sister, which to be fair, I don't know how he cheated on the real estate exam. It's actually pretty hard to do because there's cameras and they monitor you. Also, if you have to cheat on the real estate exam, you're probably really stupid because it's a really easy exam. Like, that's the easiest exam I've ever taken in my entire life. If you want to take a hard exam, try to take the CPA exam. That one's impossible. Now, for the sake of saving time, let's take a look at that moment when Andrei learns that he could be deported from the United States. And for this point, it's like we can only wish. The last thing we need is another moocher in this great nation. Before we continue reviewing this cringe couple on the show, why don't I tell you about today's video sponsor, Native. If you guys haven't heard about Native's deodorants, they absolutely slap. I wanted to test them out for a week before I showed you guys. So first of all, their toothpaste, it's peppermint flavored and it's actually really good toothpaste. Let me talk to you guys about the body wash, all right? The body wash is really special to me because it smells like key lime pie.
I do like pie.
Let me tell you guys about the deodorant. I've been using the deodorants for a week and they actually work. When I go to the gym and I smell my armpits after, I still smell good. So the first deodorant I went with was lavender and rose. I really like this one. It's a very classy smell and I like to put it on before I go on dinner dates. And then the other deodorant I use is coconut and vanilla. This one I use during the daytime if I go to the beach. Let's do a little smell check real quick. This makes you smell like a winner. And then the last deodorant is citrus and herbal musk. And this one I saved. I haven't used this one yet because I want to show you guys. Look at this. Can you guys see this? They have a heart in the middle. Like, how cute is that? The other two, I used it so the heart got faded. When you're applying this deodorant on your stinky pits, it's not sticky and it dries quickly. And it's perfect for if you're on the go, especially during these days because it's summer. The ingredients are aluminum free, paraben free, and sulfate free. The deodorants are instead filled with familiar and simple ingredients that you already know, such as coconut oil and shea butter. They're also vegan and cruelty-free, my guys. 3 deodorants are usually $36, but if you use my link and code, you'll get them for $24. That's 33% off. With my code, you can also get 20% off for any body wash or toothpaste. Big thanks again to Native for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get back to reviewing this cringe couple on the show.
So, let's talk about my second concern. Any negative factors from your past will be brought up again with this application. So
There is none. I don't have anything.
Once again, the show is painting the picture like Andrei has a lot of skeletons in his closet and he has this deep, dark past. It's comical that the show wants to portray him as a criminal when the majority of Elizabeth's family have records. Besides, this guy isn't qualified to make me a sandwich, so I highly doubt he's crafty enough to get away with the crime.
did you ever commit any violation of any laws anywhere in the world, even those that you were not arrested for?
No. At this point of time, I'm just gonna say, but I don't have nothing to hide.
Also, I love how Andrei says he has nothing to hide, but gets all defensive. So obviously you have something to hide. His family needs to come up with more material. We already saw this last season. I'm bored. At this point, do yourselves a favor, TLC, and just put me on the show.
Whatever was my past over there in my country, you know, like I regulated it, it's buried, it's no problem at this point.
But you do understand you can't regulate and bury your past.
I love how Andrei's being so awkward about the situation. Whatever I did that was illegal, it is buried. So you admit that you did something. Okay, idiot. Can you just get to the point and tell us what you did? I know you didn't kill anybody because you're too stupid to get away with that. There's no way you would get away with killing someone. So like, what did you do? Because I like am really curious, and I think everyone's curious.
I'm concerned that Andrei has this attitude that it's buried in the past and I've put it in the past, but he doesn't understand that the law hasn't put it in the past.
You would think from the way Andrei acts, his prideful aura that he gives off, that he was the guy with money, but he's not the guy with money. He's the house husband that has to milk a job from his father-in-law and constantly ask his father-in-law for money. So I don't know where his sense of pride comes from, because as a man, you should have no pride if you're living your life like that. Also, I can see why the immigration attorney's so skeptical. She says something like,
are there any negative factors that could interfere in your...
And Andrei cuts her off and is like,
There is none.
If we don't meet their exacting standards, you will be denied. And when you get denied, what happens is not only do you lose your green card, you will be put in deportation. But on top of that, we will have to go to immigration court.
all right, line up socks, play some bets. Do you guys think Chuck is gonna pay for that? Yes or no? I think Chuck is definitely gonna pay for that if they end up going to court. As you all know, before we had the #1 YouTube channel in the entire world, I was a real estate agent and had a remodeling company in Las Vegas. So I think it's gonna be extra funny to review the next scene. Let's take a look at that magical moment when Andrei lets himself in and starts doing demo work at one of the properties that Charlie is managing.
Chuck told me no.
To add a little context to the situation, Charlie is at home enjoying time with his wife and family. Next thing you know, he gets a call from a neighbor that someone is going inside the property that he is working on and actually demoing the entire thing, making a lot of noise. It was one of the neighbors that called, which is good. Thank you for the neighbor for looking out. So what does Charlie do? Gets in his car, races down to his property, and what does he see? He sees his dumbass brother-in-law demoing the property and doing a terrible job at that without his permission. And then Andrei says, what? I talked to your dad about demoing the property. You still have to run everything through Charlie. It's the property that Charlie is managing.
We are demolishing everything in the house, not including all this crap and all of this. So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, we discussed it, but we didn't finalize anything.
Andrei has an authority problem, and it shows by how he can't follow anyone's orders. You don't start at the top, and if this was a real construction company, he would already be fired. Also, is it just me, or every time Charlie and Andrei look at each other, it's like we could either be fighting or making out? Am I the only one catching sus vibes, or what?
You have to do what I tell you to do. You can't just come over here.
Did you talk with Chuck now? He's like telling me now, look, take this all apart. That's why I'm working.
Okay.
You think I'm driving here an hour away to just hang around by destroying the kitchens?
I need to spell this out for Andrei because he's actually too stupid to comprehend this. You're an employee. You can't talk to your supervisor or your boss that way. If one of my employees talked to me this way, it would never work for me again, and I would call every other contractor and tell them that they are complete scum and you shouldn't let this person on your job site. For an employee to talk to a supervisor like that is unacceptable. It shouldn't be allowed, and Andrei is so lucky and fortunate that Charlie has enough class to not absolutely get him fired.
Doing dirty work, but which nobody wants to do it.
I'm doing the job no one wants to do. Andrei, you're a narcissist. There's a lot of people that can do demo. Anyone can do demo. However, usually people with brains wait until they get the okay to do the demo work from their boss, and they don't do it at night. Construction hours are between 7 and 5 p.m. usually. Generally, that's when construction hours are.
But dude, even if my dad tells you to do something, you still gotta run it by me because you don't really have any experience doing this. I know how to do this.
Also, Charlie has a great point. He actually has experience working for his father. He has experience in the field of construction, and Andrei doesn't. And instead of being wise enough to learn from someone that has experience and has years invested in this field, he instead takes matters into his own hands. He grabs the new tool belt he got from Home Depot and races to the property and do demo himself, even though he doesn't know how to do demo properly.
Have you ever messed with a gas stove? You're gonna demolish this wall with a gas stove, you're gonna blow the property up.
Gas is off now.
No, it's not. When electric comes on, the gas comes on.
And it's off right now because I tried it.
So you don't even know what you're talking about.
He really could have blown up the house. I'm not even kidding. And honestly, it's crazy to me that you would even hire somebody like this. Like, Chuck, you are so careless. If I was Charlie, I'd be so scared that Andrei is working for the company. This guy's a liability. Charlie is about to lose his job, his inheritance. RIP this family business, bro.
You know, selling the dream to my dad. And then what does he do? He comes over here and tries to do his own thing without even talking to anybody. I didn't want him to do this to begin with because I knew this would happen. I knew I'd have to go behind him and clean up his. That's gonna cost time, money.
Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. I think Charlie's spitting nothing but facts. It is very frustrating to have somebody in your family that you really don't like, because Andrei and Charlie already don't like each other. Now, could you imagine having to go in and take extra time to clean up your brother-in-law's mistakes because he's an idiot and he should never even be in the company in the first place, but he's only there because your dad has a weak spot for his baby girl, Libby? I would be so frustrated if this was me. I totally understand where Charlie's coming from.
For what? You're over here like just freewheeling it.
Chuck just told me, like, go do it. He says, but
Wow, you can tell Andrei's a Neanderthal by the lack of vocabulary, I swear. His kid is gonna know how to swear in 2 languages when she's in kindergarten. He just says the F-bomb all the time.
destroy windows, destroy the kitchen,
windows?
like,
No,
get,
you don't
you need
replace
to get
the
a
So
trailer.
you have the windows.
He says
Are you
he's-
gonna bust the windows down, just have the windows just broken?
Yo, Andrei, where'd you learn how to do remodels playing Grand Theft Auto? Are you kidding me? There's no way Chuck told him to break the windows. This guy's a compulsive liar.
Like, that's what I'm doing. You know, like, I'm not supposed to be doing best. I'm more of qualified to do best stuff.
Stop the cap.
He's overqualified, guys. You hear that? Andrei thinks he's overqualified to be doing demo work. Oh, Andrei, let's see your resume. Worked as a bouncer in Dublin. There's 1. Number 2 was a house husband. Number 3 was a dumb cop in Moldova. Yeah, man, you're overqualified to do demo work for sure. I don't think he knows the dictionary definition for the words over and qualified. I'm pretty sure Andrei is 35 years old, and for a 35-year-old, he's the most broke, entitled person I've ever seen in my life. Everything that he has in this world is because of his father-in-law's good graces, and it's so shocking to see somebody like this that's a real person. Like, I can't believe he actually exists.
Like, this ain't gonna work because I don't wanna have to come back and clean up your mess.
I think Andrei's part-time job is fixing the ice cream machine at all the McDonald's chains. That's why that shit is always broken and they never have ice cream. Now, without further ado, let's look at a very entertaining scene. Arguably one of the most explosive arguments that Libby and her entire family have had on this season of Happily Ever After was on the boat. Let's take a look at that magical moment when they're drinking on the boat.
Okay, look.
Dad, why
Bottom
does
line
this
is
shit
not
feel like us
he's
against
not taking
them?
advantage of
God,
our
Jen,
family.
Libby has always been
What he's
Right.
doing.
Meow, cat fight. Don't you love to see it, ladies and gentlemen? They should just put on those UFC gloves and go at it. I don't know about you guys, but I actually enjoy watching the women's fights more than the men's and the MMA fights, because usually the men take a little bit to figure each other out. The women just seem like they just meet in the middle and start throwing and trading punches right away. Yo, Libby, twist his dick. Give me the old dick twist.
It was a little premature for me to throw him into the middle because look at all the problems
you
that
think?
it caused.
Exactly, Dad. You didn't think it through.
I think this shows a lot of maturity on Chuck's part for him admitting his own mistakes. That being said, the kids are acting like they don't live off their dad's good graces when they do as well. They're not lazy bums like Andrei, and they have been working for the family business for a long time. Now, that being said, they have not taken the family business to the next level, therefore have been complacent and are also working for their dad. So their dad is the boss, and whatever the boss says goes.
So here's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah,
he
tell
wants
us.
to learn the business. So what I've agreed to is bring him in, work with him one-on-one with me in the office, showing him the business of flipping houses.
Now, was it a wise decision to hire Andrei? Absolutely not. Andrei is a complete buffoon. That being said, Chuck is the boss, therefore his employees, even though they are his children, they are his employees, and they have to do whatever the boss says because he is in charge of the company, and that is how the company works. I know Chuck involves family and business, and it's not a really good thing to do because it doesn't end well. That being the case, I feel like the kids are chirping a little bit too much. When the boss is speaking, you should show the boss respect and shut the f up.
It's not gonna affect you listing my house. It's not gonna affect our partnership together of flipping houses.
Did you hear
It's
that?
not gonna affect you working for me.
Did you hear that?
Okay?
Ow.
Because he's gonna be shadowing
Did you
me,
hear that?
and I'm gonna be teaching him.
I'm not gonna talk to you.
Another little loophole about Chuck's plan is he says that Andrei's going to be shadowing him, but I believe that he's going to put Andrei on salary. So those two don't go to... Usually when someone's shadowing somebody, they don't actually get money. It's more of like an internship opportunity. There's paid internships, but I fail to see how Andrei is going to be satisfied in that situation because Andrei thinks that he's up here and he should make partner on the first day of work. And that's just going to cause more drama within the family. Chuck goes on to say that he feels bad about the animosity bringing Andrei into the family business is creating. That being said, he wants everyone to get along. And for Chuck, I just want to say that Andrei's a liability, and I get that that you're trying to make your daughter Libby happy, but it is really selfish of her to even present this request to you to hire Andrei and take him under your wing. That in itself shows that she doesn't really care about you, and even though it's your daughter, at some point you need to separate family from business, and you need to separate your heart from your brain, because for you to even bring in Andrei into your family business is an incredibly stupid move on your part.
You are a brat. I know you're delusional.
Stop.
You're a brat.
No, stop.
Are you
Stop.
rich bitch? You
Stop.
have money, but you don't.
Stop. Right now, stop.
I think it's really funny that Libby called out Becky for only marrying her husband because he's rich. I feel like that's not the reason why she married him. I feel like she genuinely loves her husband and vice versa. I think that there's nothing wrong with marrying somebody that is financially independent and doesn't have to sponge money off of your dad. But pop off, Libby. Way to spin that and try to make her feel bad for marrying a suitor that has money. Yeah, I don't know why Andrei is so disrespectful towards women, and I find it even more peculiar that Libby would marry someone that talks to her family members like that. I just find it wildly inappropriate, and I do think that Becky's husband is kind of a puss, because if someone talked to my wife that way, they'd be knocked out.
Because what's more important to me is family, like everybody getting along. And if the family business is going to break us up, then it's not worth it.
Yo, it's real weird. It's like when Chuck mentions that he'll sell the family business because he cares about the family getting along more than the business. Everybody shuts up because they're like, Dad, no, we'll be out of jobs. Daddy Chuck, don't sell the family business. We can't get jobs on our own. Let's take a look at that moment when she talks to Andrei about the situation and gets Andrei's unique perspective on the situation.
I never thought ever in my life I would get physical with my sister like we did when we were kids. And considering that, I'm not so sure that we should attend this family reunion.
Libby's being really overdramatic. She says that her and Becky are best friends, and usually they talk every night on the phone together, and they're so close, but that incident was so shocking, and she's so hurt by it, and she doesn't know if their relationship can ever be repaired. And for this point, it's like, have you never had a sibling argument before? Like, me and my little brother used to beat each other up and throw knives at each other. No, my mom had it rough. She would be like, where are my kids at? We'd be in the backyard with our replica Lord of the Rings swords fighting to the death, or playing real life Fruit Ninja, where like I'd be bombing him with oranges and he'd be slicing them, but a lot of them would miss and like hit him in the chest. Boys are a lot.
It is what it is at this point.
What do you think about this family reunion?
I told you, we need to go there. After what happened of a boat, it's mandatory for me and Chuck to get some bro time, because I want my relationship with him to build up.
Andrei could give a shit about fixing the relationships between Libby and her family. He only cares about elevating his position in Chuck's mind so that he can get more money. So he's just looking out for himself and financial gain. I also find it comical that Libby's so butthurt when she's the one that threw the drink in Becky's face first. So it's like, you started that argument. You started that fight, that physical altercation. If you throw a drink in somebody's face, I think it's natural to start fighting right away. Like if someone threw a drink in my face, we're scrapping right then and there. Also, I'm gonna say it again, but Libby looks really old. I think the entire family is aging because of all of Andrei's BS. They all look like they've aged like 10 years in this season. It's kind of like the Obama effect. Remember when he went in and he looked really young into the presidency? And then after he looked like so old and we were like, oh my God, you look like Darth Sidious.
The only aim right now is to make Chuck comfortable, and we should actually like get our together and go on that trip.
I don't necessarily know how I feel, though, being in an RV that long with Becky.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good idea, Andrei. Let's do a cross-country trip with a family that actually hates you. The only thing Andrei's got going for him is that he has a tight butt, and he likes it when Chuck penetrates it because he's Chuck's little sugar baby.
What did he say?
I like to self-promote. Follow me on IG and TikTok, and then make sure to order a Cameo for me because I'm the #1 Cameo creator in the entire world. Okay, enough self-promotion. Let's look at them on the RV trip right now because I'm eager to review this couple and all the drama.
We'll have us, Ellie, Mads, Becky Thomas, Jen, her two girls, and then also Charlie and Megan's daughter, Charlize.
I just realized one thing, but my wife actually can count to 10.
Got him!
Well, it's 11, but
Yes, but she did 10,
and
so
I
it's
just
good.
realized that my husband can't do math.
He is such a jerk.
Well, that was a weird dig. It's good to see this couple is all lovey-dovey. Guys, don't fight. I think I speak for everyone when I say you're both equally stupid.
Everybody knows you never go full retard.
But you know what's even stupider than that banter we just heard is the fact that they have 11 people that all hate each other crammed together in one RV, and they don't think that they're gonna fight on this trip.
Oh my God. It's really small. I'm nervous.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but even when I go on a family trip, I get my own room. I don't like to be in the same space with people for a long time because it's only a matter of time before you fight with people, especially your siblings.
Wait, we can all fit in here?
You happy, Chuck?
Yeah, man. Wow, this is gonna be tight.
All the kids can be in the back.
What do you think about this? Like, look, does it look like a house on the wheels?
I think it's really small. All right.
I love how Jen immediately walks in and says, oh my God, it's so small. Like, Jen, what were you expecting? It's an RV. Have you never been in an RV before? This is gonna be a great family trip. When I see this, it reminds me of David Murphy from 9 Day Fiancé because my friend David wants an RV and he wants to go cross country. Let me know what you guys think about RV trips in the comments below. Would you guys go on a trip in an RV or no? I feel like some people like it, some people get car sick, so. I love how Andrei says, I'm just doing this for Chuck. What that means is,
I'm just doing this to get closer to Chuck's wallet and financially improve my situation by leeching off my father-in-law.
I feel bad for Chuck because he always looks so stressed out and tired, but at the same time, his kids constantly complain about everything he does or every decision he makes, and he's the boss, and it sucks because it's like, you would think that they would try to make their life easier for their father, but they really don't.
If we have the entire RV filled with suitcases, where are we gonna sit?
We said no complaining.
Dude, I'm not complaining, and if you say that again, you're gonna piss me off.
Carrying your bags and you're complaining.
I kind of feel bad for Chuck. I know he did this to himself because he allows his kids and everybody to walk all over him. He's a little bit too generous with everybody, and you can tell that by how he financially supports everybody, even though they're all like in their 30s. But real talk between us, I think he needs a spa day or something because he looks really tired.
I'm claustrophobic, Dad, and I did not anticipate this.
Hear me out, you guys. If you already know you hate Andrei, why would you volunteer yourself to spend like 20 hours in an RV with this person as opposed to flying 2 hours to Maryland? Fast forward, the journey in the RV is long and tiresome. The family's getting very fed up and they are annoyed because the entire family is back with the kids and listening to the kids scream the entire time. Meanwhile, Chuck and Andrei are up front driving and talking, and Andrei takes it upon himself to discuss business with Chuck in the front seat, which upsets his kids and they overhear their entire conversation. This leads to an explosive argument between Becky, Elizabeth's sister, and Andrei actually gets lost, gets hot and sweaty and angry, and he pulls over the RV in the middle of the road, gets out of the RV, and then asks Becky to come outside and talk to him.
I'm sitting there and I hear you guys saying shady
Because the business
and
has different branches.
Said, if they hear us talking, they'll get upset. The moment I heard my dad say, you shouldn't talk.
I think Andrei drastically needs to improve his vocabulary. He just cusses at girls the entire time this season, and it's exhausting to see this guy cuss at these girls, and then the husbands don't do anything, which is a bitch move. I also think if this continues, they're gonna give poor Chuck a heart attack. He needs to be more aggressive with his kids because he's way too passive, and that just creates these 2 drama queens, or should I say 5 drama queens, because they all just keep fighting, and then the dad just has to pay for everything. It's so annoying.
Why are you doing this in front of your father and in front of everybody?
I'm done with you
like
trying to milk my dad.
Becky goes on to say that when she started off working for her dad 5 years ago, her dad didn't entertain any of her ideas, but she sees that right now he is listening to Andrei's ideas when Andrei is talking to him about business. I'm a little bit torn on this because I do feel like Andrei is a lazy bum and he's ungrateful and he should start at an entry-level position and not be promoted to partner right away. But at the same time, Becky, I think you need to back off because your dad's the boss, and if he wants to take Andrei under his wing and he wants to support him financially, you have no voice in that conversation, or you can talk to your dad in private about that. Once again, have to reiterate this, not on Andrei's side, but at the same time, right now, Becky's speaking out of turn.
Dad, you should be out there talking to them too. You started it.
They're 2 adults.
It doesn't matter. You're in the middle of this too.
Yo, if I talked to my dad, Nicolas Cage, like that, I would get a backhand straight to the dome. You can tell that these girls were not disciplined growing up. It really shows by how they're all brats. Chuck doesn't need to do anything. That's a fight between 2 adults. My prescription to Chuck is fire all of your kids and get employees that aren't related to you so that there's not this weird power imbalance, because right now your kids are taking advantage of the fact that you're their father.
Listening to my dad. Can we hurry up? The babies are crying.
Is he yelling at my wife or what?
Dude.
I wouldn't let him yell at her.
This is not what I want.
Also for Becky's husband, is he yelling at my wife or what? Yeah, you hear him yelling at your wife, but you're not doing shit about it. If somebody's disrespecting your woman, I don't care if it's family or not, you should go outside and beat the shit out of them. You got this Neanderthal Andrei outside disrespecting your wife and you hear him doing so and you're not doing anything about it. Hey man, I know he's bigger than you, he's probably in better shape and everything, but go out there and lose with honor. At least get some good shots in, because right now you're a bitch.
Wanted. Exactly Like, I have to clarify some
Why
here.
are you saying all this stuff, Dad? I heard all your conversation.
At this point, I'm starting to think that the children are more mature than the adults. This is so wild. I'm so fortunate and happy that I'm not part of this family, and you guys should be too.
For real, Jack, like, but she doesn't like you said like what you're gonna talk to them.
What you said was shady. Now you're really...
No, what I want is us not to talk about business on the RV.
Then
I already said that.
See, that's a problem, Chuck. That's the only reason why Andrei wanted to go on this trip, to talk business and snuggle up to you. He actually said that to the camera. He said that multiple times throughout this entire season, that that is his only motive for doing things, is because he wants to snuggle up to you and get money. The good news is they worked out all their differences and get back on the RV, and they're one big happy family. No, I'm just kidding. They actually fought the entire time. This was literally the RV trip from hell. They had a pit stop and they got off. They were all incredibly tired, and in the morning, Andrei wasn't watching their daughter and she almost fell and hurt herself, and Elizabeth was mad at him. And Andrei yelled at Elizabeth and made everybody cry because he gets really mean when things are his fault and he refuses to accept responsibility for his own actions. He's like,
There's a house full of family. Someone else could have been watching her.
anyways, blah, blah, blah. It was boring. They fought the entire time on this RV trip. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like this season isn't as exciting as other seasons. Let me know what you guys think about this, but I think we need fresh blood on the show because we're over all these people. It's the same storyline every single time. Things actually start to get juicy when they finally get to Maryland, and Andrei and Charlie get in a huge fight, and Charlie brings up the point that Andrei is a lazy bum in front of Chuck's sister. Let's roll the clip of that.
Most immigrants that come to America want to like go out and bust their ass and live the American dream. Since you've got to America, you've basically been relying on my dad.
Why is that any of your business?
Chuck's father stood up and said, you don't go asking someone to go into business with you and say, loan me the money. You bring the money and say, here's my contribution. I agree with Chuck's father. Andrei should work and contribute to the family as a whole and contribute to the business. Right now, he brings nothing to the table.
He's not bringing anything other than debt from my brother.
Yo, Chuck's sister looks exactly like him, but with a wig, to be fair. Chuck's genes are very strong. I feel like a lot of people in his family look just like him. Like, they all have the same face to me. I see nothing but facts. We had said that Andrei's a lazy bum, and Chuck's sister is woke.
Jack already helped all of you, like the children.
Hey, Andrei, you know why he helped them out? Because they're his children. Last time I checked, Andrei, you're not his child, but it's really cool to see that you're so ungrateful for everything that he's already given you that you still want to ask for more. You're like a black hole, and you just want Chuck to financially dominate you, and you want to call him daddy. It's really sad to see a man at the age of 35 not have any pride.
You may have invaded my mind and my body, but there's one thing a Saiyan always keeps: his pride!
Right, Jack, did you help everybody starting, right?
That's what motivates me, to help my kids be successful.
Exactly.
And if that
So you
means
help everybody?
my kid's spouse,
Okay.
it's the same thing.
Chuck, they're 35 years old. Okay, at some point, they need to get off your hairy nipple, and they need to be their own people, and need to be financially independent adults. You babied your kids to the point to where now they boss you around. All the girls in this family, they boss their dad around like crazy.
Dad, you should be out there talking to them too. You started it.
And it drives me insane because he's kind of a puss, even though he's a breadwinner, and he did a great job, and he's a successful man. And you know what? I respect him for that. I don't respect him as a father because he was too lenient with his kids, and now they run his life. These are my kids. Those asses would be red, and they'd be shipped off to military school real quick. At this point with this particular couple, I feel like their drama is very repetitive. What it comes down to is Andrei's entitled and very stupid, and they still haven't kicked him out of the family. They still haven't done anything about it. And it's just one of those things to where Libby is an enabler, and she wants to steal money from her family too. I think Libby's resentful because she's the ugly sister. Not even talking about physical appearance. Charlie brings up a great point that Andrei is lazy and most immigrants come to the United States to work. Meanwhile, Andrei came here to sponge off your family, and instead of sticking up for your dad and sticking up for your family's finances, you instead want to combat with your brother about how Andrei should get more money even though your dad has already paid for 2 weddings. He put a roof over your guys' head. He's paid for so many things for your family. And you guys are really that ungrateful to where every single season or every time you're on the show, your segment is just milking your dad out of money. And at this point, it's getting boring.
Because we're in a partnership working on properties, and he brings him in.
But that's Dad's decision, is it not?
When you're in a partnership, you have to consult your other partner.
He did. We had a meeting.
Why would I bring you in to be a partner, Jerry? Like, come on.
Libby, you need to get your priorities straight. This guy is a leech and he's destroying your family, and you're gonna side with him, really? This is why I hate family reunions, and I don't go to any family reunions, ever. Next thing you know, Charlie and Andrei get in a screaming match, and they're like, do something, and then the other guy's like, do something. And he's like, I'll beat you off right here, right now, in front of my granddad.
I will come like a fucking madman all over you, McBride. Ooh, I fucking wish you'd come on me right now. I fucking dare you to come on me.
Libby fails to comprehend the fact that her husband is just along for the free ride. Usually people get loans when they are exceptionally good at something or have some money to their name. I don't care how rich someone is, losing $100,000 hurts, and Libby is basically asking her dad to lose that money because he would receive no financial compensation from Andrei for his losses. Also, Libby says, I think my brother Charlie is trying to sabotage my husband Andrei. Libby, work on your acting and come up with new material. Everyone's getting bored with this segment. What it comes down to is you and Andrei are entitled, untalented, and inadequate. The next day, it's all smiles for this family as they go to the reunion. They're all dressed nice and they walk in and it's all smiles. Chuck is very excited and happy to be there. He greets a lot of his family, some extended family members that he hasn't seen in a number of years. Andrei and Charlie are avoiding each other like the plague because it seems like every time they get together and start talking, a fight breaks out and they don't want to ruin the mood. Next thing you know, Libby's sisters drop the fact that Libby hired a babysitter for their kids and she didn't tell Andrei about this beforehand, and for some reason he's outraged about this because I guess he planned for his parents to come and watch the kids.
I talked to Libby about having a babysitter, and we both came to an agreement that once the pandemic is over, I can bring my parents and they can help us with Eleanor.
So that he could quite literally get the Moldovan mooch train over here. I guess he wants his parents to come over here so they can mooch off Chuck's good graces as well. And they could take care of all the chores because he wants mommy and daddy to do his dishes and clean and everything so that he can be a lazy bum on the couch.
I didn't want to do this, but you led me no choice.
I didn't like it. I don't like people like that are
Don't you
strange to me.
trust me and my judgment? I
No,
found
that's my
her.
child too.
Honestly, for this point, I'm on Andrei's side. They're his kids too, and I feel like you should talk to your husband before you hire a babysitter, and he has every right to be outraged about the situation. I feel like he's blowing it out of proportion. Like, I think he's too upset, but I think this guy's unbalanced and he has anger management problems that he should probably see somebody about. I feel like Andrei's especially outraged because he doesn't have the funds borrowed from Chuck yet to pay the babysitter. Also, I'm confused why the show is called Happily Ever After when no one on the show is happy. Like, let's think about this. I feel like the only happy people on the show are Jovi and Yara, but at the same time, they don't have as many kids as the other couples. Maybe that's like why they're so happy. I feel like everyone I meet with children is like,
You need to have children. They're the best thing that's ever happened in my life.
but they all look tired and miserable, so I'm not gonna have children. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Comment below, subscribe, let your friend, follow me on Twitch and on Instagram right now.